All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the February 2026 5 Miles from Everywhere meeting. And today we have guests, Johanna Draper Carlson and Heather Hinson are going to talk a little about 221 BCon, the history, and what's coming up, and just, one of the coolest Sherlock Holmes conferences on Earth, I can say, right? I can say that. That's pretty
Well,
impressive.
we do like to say we are a convention, not a conference, because there are certain
Okay,
expectations
that's
people
right.
have, and so we not to be pedantic, but there you go.
All right. So, that's awesome. That makes perfect sense. I'm just making one double check to make sure I got everybody in. It looks like we're all in. And all right, I'll share my screen. We'll get started. Yay. And oops. There we go. All right. Okay, so as I said, we'll start with our announcements. And I know Madeline, I know you had said you have one, so I make sure I will pause to let you say yours, and then we will get into our meeting for today with Johanna Draper Carlson and Heather Hinson, and the oh, you know what? Haha, I accidentally.
I was about to say.
Yes, I still have Brian. I don't know what happened there. I still have Brian's title from last time. So, or from two months ago. How did that
I
get
mean, we could
there?
totally talk about that too. It's
I
fine.
suppose you probably could. I'm actually gonna stop sharing to fix that if that's cool. Just because
Sure.
that's gonna irk me. Uh, all right. So hold on a second here.
I mean, we do
And
have Doyle panels, and we do have cosplay, and we
I know
We
that
also
is
have a
true,
Doyle cutout.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, you probably do, right?
we do. You can take your picture with a giant standee of Arthur Conan Doyle in front of the
Yes.
221B door,
Oh,
or
they-
the fireplace, or the
Or the
TARDIS.
TARDIS.
I
Or
mean,
the TARDIS. Take your pick.
Hold on one sec.
While he does that, I will say the people that bring the TARDIS are amazing because you open the door and the little sound goes whoosh, whoosh,
Yes.
Yeah.
whoosh. So if I get overwhelmed, I just go and stand in the TARDIS and listen to it go whoosh, whoosh at me, and then I
Oh,
feel
it's
better.
it's super soothing. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Are they definitely bringing that back this year?
They are.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Yeah, Hannah and Chris will be there with the TARDIS and the fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. I think I got everything fixed
I may
now.
have to
Let me
bring my
just make
scarf.
sure.
Do it.
Okay. I apologize, guys.
Yes.
That was weird. I mean, I keep having these like weird things like that happen, so I don't know. Bad luck
Take
on my
two,
part.
tick.
All right. Take two. Here we go. Oh, hold on. Even that's not quite right. Here we go. All right. We'll do a bloopers reel at some point, I guess. There we go. All right. So here we are. Yay. Oh, Shane is coming in. Excellent. All right. So again, announcements, and then Joanne and Heather are going to talk about 221 BCon. And now it says 22 BCon. Man, I can't wait
Whatever.
today.
Whatever.
We're just gonna stick with it.
Keep
Let's just
going.
stick with it. We're going. All right. Let's get to the announcements because we want to start with a very exciting one. And that is that some of our 5 Miles members are now in the BSI class of 2026. So just a huge virtual round of applause to Madeline, who is now Sir Joshua Reynolds. Rich Crucenis is now William Morris. Max McGee, Cyril Morton, PJ, the ancient Cornish language. What a cool name, huh? And then Rusty is John Mason. So huge round of applause. And that's a big class, and a lot of our members are in it. And I thought that was just so cool. So and if you and what a picture, right? That sums up that class. I really think that sums up that class. But what a fun, it was a really fun BSI weekend, and I was really I don't know, I thought that the Rupert Holmes talk was just phenomenal. It was a lot of fun, and just overall, I don't know, I've been going to these things now for I don't know, Brian, what, 7, 8 years? And I thought this was one of the
8 years, I want to
best.
say. Yeah.
Yeah. This was just a lot of fun. Everything was just great. So very cool. Um, and also wanted to shout out that also at that weekend, our January speaker, Chris Chan, who spoke on his Sherlock poetry book, won the Doylean Award for poetry at the Mysterious Bookshop. And so there he is with, of course, his Agatha Christie work, because that's what he's mainly known for. And I don't know if you saw, but he did announce he's got a new edition. It's a book about Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. It's going to be everything about how she wrote it, the book itself, the different versions, and even the film and TV versions. I can't wait for it. That's one of Christie's best, and so I think that will be really great. And I'm sure he'll also get into some of the complexities of it, some of the racist issues, unfortunately. But really, I mean, Chris's work is fantastic, and it was fun having him on last month and visiting us. So I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to give you a shout out this month. So he knows. All right. And I think that was it for me because I knew some people had other announcements. I wanted to be brief. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. And let me turn it over to Madeline because I know you had an announcement.
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to say that registration for the next John H. Watson Society Zoom is on the website already, so you can go to that link and register there. I don't know just yet what our agenda is, but I will figure it out by the time we meet. And it's also important to note that we have a time change. We are now meeting at 2 p.m. Eastern Time rather than 1 p.m. like we used to. So
Hey.
that's all.
Are you okay? And how long is the meeting usually?
As long as you want to stick around.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's very cool. Nice. Okay. If you have any other analysis, please use the hand raise feature. I do want to actually give another shout out to Margie because Margie also won a Doylean Award for Sherlock Holmes Into the Fire, and it was. I mean, how many of those have you won now, Margie? 3. I think you got the record. So very cool. Excellent. All right. Any other announcements after my faux pas to start us off here? All right, I guess one other announcement I do have for the group is if you're interested, because I see George down there, George Vanderberg, the Parade Street Irregulars meeting will be at the end of February, our online meeting where we will invest our members. That's the Solar Pond Society. And this year, the topic of the talks is going to be the essential solar pond stories. And each person will kind of give a little talk about which story they feel is essential. So, or at least one of the stories they think is essential and why. So that'll be the focus of this year, as well as the exciting investiture announcements. So if you're interested, I'll send the link out to the group and you can join us. And if you don't know much about solar ponds or just are curious, I highly recommend joining us and just checking it out. And that usually goes for about a 90-minute meeting.
And what's the day again?
February 28th, the last day of February. Okay, and again, I'll send it out to you all because I know sometimes you guys join. It'll be fun. All right. Okay, anything else? Ooh, and Tiger's making a speckled band miniature. That's cool. That's very cool. All right. We cool to get to the main event, my friends? Because I want to make sure that Joanna and Heather have plenty of time. All right.
We can talk as much or as little as you want. So
I'm sure you can. Oh, wait, Larry's coming in too. All right. Let me share my screen one more time to introduce y'all. And then we'll get going here. Okay. All right. And there they are, our speakers for today. Okay. So let me introduce them. So Heather Hinson has been a fan of Sherlock Holmes since she was a teen. She blames it completely on her father, who introduced her to A Scandal in Bohemia, and Nicholas Rowe in his interpretation of Sherlock Holmes. Her hobbies include reading way too many books. I think we all are guilty of that one. Expanding her writing skills from fanfic to general Holmesian canon, conspiracy theories, and generally being annoying. She has mastered all of these hobbies into an article in the Watsonian and a story in The Monstrum Opus of Sherlock Holmes, which is a really fun book, and we had the authors on as an episode of 5 Miles a little ways back. She's the Tantalus of the Parallel Cases of St. Louis and a member of the John H. Watson Society. She created and ran a virtual Sherlock Holmes convention during COVID, has been on staff with Holmes in the Heartland 2023 and 2026, and is currently one of the new co-directors of 221B Con. So that is Heather. And a round of applause for Heather. And Johanna Draper Carlson rejoined the Sherlockian world in 2019 thanks to a rewatch of Sherlock. She had previously encountered Holmes as a teen through her library, where her favorites were the annotated and the misadventures. She is the president of the Notorious Canary Trainers of Madison, Wisconsin, and regularly contributes to Sherlock Holmes magazine and writes a yearly column in the Baker Street Almanac. Joanna established SherlockComics.com on February 21st, 2022. She also runs ComicsWorthReading.com, the longest-running independent comic book review site on the internet, over 25 years old. It's impressive. And has a master's degree in pop culture with a focus on fandom studies. She's the other new co-director of 221B Con because she loves the community and might as well use her management and organization skills for good. So let's give a virtual welcome to our two speakers for today. And then you have the floor, Joanna, and I will mute myself and others, and we'll listen to you.
Great. Well, thanks very much for having us on. I know that somebody was bounced for this so that we could do this in a timely fashion, since our con does happen every April in 2026. I'm here to talk about past, present, and future. Heather likes to joke that she is the teller to my pen, so she will chime in as needed. But it's complicated if both of us try to talk. So 221BCon happens every April in Atlanta, Georgia, currently hosted at the Atlanta Airport Marriott. We are a convention, not a conference, which matters only in that we don't have a set track of programming and your meals are on your own. But we do have a lot of people who love Sherlockiana, Sherlock Holmes and related topics, and other things. So our inspiration, I just wanted a chance to put pictures in here. So yes, Sherlock the TV show. The history of the con. The founders, these are the original 5 founders, met at a Sherlock panel at a science fiction convention and loved the show. So in 2023, they said, let's get a hotel and put on a convention. You got to love the enthusiasm of young people, right?
To be fair, I think alcohol was involved.
Yes. 700 people showed up. It's been held every year since, except 2020 it was canceled, obviously, worldwide pandemic, and 2021 it was virtual. That was actually my first attendance because I decided I was going to start going back to events in 2020 and then all of them shut down, so I blame myself. It is a fan-run convention held April in Atlanta. It's media-friendly, creator-friendly, fan-friendly, diverse, predominantly female, and queer inclusive, and at one point was the largest Sherlock Holmes gathering in the world. We get together, we hang out. It's a wonder. I loved the show because when you go down to the lobby and basically there's a bar area there and you see people you know. And if you don't see people you know, you start talking to them and then soon you know them. I will stop here to tell a short story about my first time attending in person. I got there fairly early. There weren't a lot of people around. I saw a woman sitting by herself sketching, and I said, you know, hey, I talk about comics. I love artists. And I'm like, hey, can I talk to you? And she's like, sure. And we started chatting, and it turned out that at the time I had ordered a fan-drawn Sherlockian phone case from one of the sites online, and she was the artist behind it. So I was like, oh, you drew this on my phone. That was it's that kind of serendipitous show. Last year we had about 300 attendees. They all most hang out at the hotel all weekend. We have multiple tracks of programming. There's 4 rooms plus any casual gatherings. We schedule things. There's small discussions, large presentations. We do not have any guests this year because we are a rebuilding year, but we have some really cool ones tentatively lined up for next year. So we are planning to continue through next year. We aim for over 60% Sherlockian topics on our programming, but we have so many panels that we also have room for related subjects and other fandoms. There's always a fandom that's hot. One year it was Good Omens, one year it was Our Flag Means Death. This year we've added panels on Young Sherlock, which debuts in March, and Heated Rivalry, because we think our audience will likely enjoy talking about that. Plus, there are social events, which include karaoke, a dance party, and Drunk Canon returns this year, where people drink and talk about the stories. As I understand it, I've never seen it, but I'm looking forward to it. None of this is mandatory. If you want, you can just hang out in the bar talking to friends at old and new all weekend, or you can, come in and see which panels. We welcome conversation on all kinds of topics. We are finalizing the panel schedule right now, and it should be up in a week on the website. This slide, but I thought it was over. At the 2024 show, Crystal and Heather, who were the remaining 2 showrunners out of the original 5, announced that the 2025 would be the last, because running a show is hard, y'all. And they've been doing it, at that point, 11 years. Heather and I, we have to be careful because there's 2 Heather H's. So Heather with you now is new Heather. We volunteered to assist for the 2025 show. My thinking was that I went and talked to them and said, look, I want to help. I'm a project manager. If it's still little, I was secretly trying to convince them that they didn't need to stop. But if they were going to stop it, then at least I could help take some of the work off their plate, because it was just the 2 of them at that point. We also came up with a sponsorship program, and I really want to thank Belanger Books for being our first official sponsor, in terms of giving us money, and we gave them a tables, and I think they almost sold out of their books that weekend. And then it worked out in such a way that Heather and I became the new showrunners for 2026. We do have a new structure, which I will get to, the future. We're aiming to keep as much as we can the same, which is why, even though neither of us are in Atlanta, we are keeping it in Atlanta. It's an easy place to get to. The hotel really likes working with us, which is super important. And we are now an official nonprofit organization, which protects us legally, tax-wise, and allows us to make things like sponsorships and donations available. Crystal and Heather and Chris Zordon are still on the board of directors, because we have an official board of directors now, because we're an organization. And they have been guiding us immensely and keeping us going so that we can make this happen. What does someone do at 221 Beacon? Well, we talk about Sherlock Holmes. The original stories in media. These are some of the ones scheduled for this year. The CBS Watson show, Sherlock & Co. We had the showrunners of Sherlock & Co. as our virtual guests last year, and that was hugely popular. We encourage creativity, so there may be costuming panels, fanfic and headcanons, and related topics. So we have somebody this year talking about Victorian medicine. Solar Ponds, we have a panel at Brian's suggestion. We have a panel on Doyle and the supernatural, so we talk about his other works. We talk about fandoms, as I mentioned, because people are like, hey, we all like Sherlock Holmes. Maybe some of y'all will like this one. So this year we've got The Fast and the Furious, Bookish, my new favorite, Psych, Cabin Pressure, Heated Rivalry, Has Been Hotel is one of them. And we have writing workshops. We're talking about how fic helps us cope, maybe more relevant in this particular turn of the galaxy. We've got panels on queer media and ace representation in media. We also have vendors. So we have artists, crafts in terms of jewelry. I got a really cool hair clip there last year. People selling books, the Belangers. There's a guy who has a Victorian costume booth that's amazing to look at. Last year there was someone doing corsetry who did free fitting. So I learned what a properly fitted corset would feel like. There's great people, and we're really touched by the fact that although we work on getting new vendors every year, there's a new comic publisher coming this year, for instance. We've got people who want to keep coming back year after year because they really appreciate the show, want to support it, and the fans love to buy their stuff. The floor bacon is a tradition because the hotel has a stonework floor and there's a piece of it that looks like bacon. So now you know the in joke, so you're not feeling left out. But yes, the pilgrimage to the floor bacon for newbies. We have a food truck for lunch options on Saturday and Sunday that is really good. This
Wait a minute.
year,
Can I jump in before you
yes.
go down? Okay, so this year we are having a 221 Beacon 101. So that way, for new people to come in, if you don't know about the floor bacon or the food truck, which is spelled F-U umlaut D, you will go to this panel and we will basically give you all the stuff you need to know, but we're too scared to ask.
Yes. That's one thing that we did implement is we now have a welcome panel to kick off the show, to let people have a place to gather, to talk about any announcements for the show, to plug vendors and panels. And we are rolling that into a welcome panel for newbies or people who just want to share that they've been coming and they don't know the in joke or whatever, because it is a community, but it is a very welcoming community. And we want to keep having people come and feel welcome to come, and it's very inclusive, as I said. New this year, Curtis Armstrong, who is a regular guest, wanted to show and introduce They Might Be Giants, one of his favorite films. So we're going to be doing that. Brad Kefauver has volunteered to conduct the Alpha In Trivia Contest, which was hilarious the time I went several years ago. I hope Steve is still involved in that. People can wear costumes or not costumes if they want. We do have a costume gathering for pictures, but it's very, very chill, and it's just, like I said, inclusive. And one of the things I really like about the show is that Sunday ends with a giant Our Last Bow panel, which is come give feedback to the showrunners. What did you like? What did you have suggestions for? What would you like to do differently, or what would you like to add? And it's just a way of sort of taking feedback from the community in terms of, are we giving them what they want? How can we continue to make the show better and continue to have it last? So it's been really interesting seeing how the show went from people will find us no matter what. That's how 700 people showed up the first time, because Sherlock was a thing and there was such a valid, an active fandom who wanted a place to gather. And now that the show is over, and it's been some years since the show is over, it's a matter of how does the show continue and find a new identity and work harder to make people know there's this place where you can come talk about Sherlock Holmes and related subjects and hang out, and everyone is welcome. So,
Yeah,
and it's all in one place, so it's not a matter of, oh, you have to walk. I went to the BSI weekend, love the BSI weekend, my first time at the BSI dinner this year, but dang, you don't have to walk around New York City. Heather, you were going to say?
I said somebody once called it a large family reunion that just happens to be a bunch of Sherlockians, because that's basically what it is. It's your best friends that you haven't seen in a year.
But it's also, you're welcome to be our new best friends.
Yes. Welcome, new best friends.
Yes. So, yeah, so that's what I have, and that is nowhere near 30 minutes. Sorry. I just get very excited to talk very fast when it comes to it. As I said, it's second weekend in April. The website, if you want to attend, memberships are $60 for the weekend. You can buy that on the website. And the rooms are also, we have a discount link. You can use that through the website as well. And the exciting, we have, if in case you want to know the mechanics of convention running, we guarantee that we will provide the hotel X number of rooms. Room nights rather. And so if they don't cover that, then we have to cover that. And that's how we get the programming rooms and stuff. But we are very near meeting that. So we're very excited this year, because we were hoping that some people thought the show was still over. Not the case. Under new management, very similar to the old. And we weren't sure, without being able to line up guests, that people would be as interested. But the answer is they are. So anyway. That's my discussion. Do we have questions?
I'm sure we have lots of questions, and don't worry about not taking too much time, because I'm sure the questions will fill it without a problem. So here's what we usually do, and because I can see we have some new people for 5 miles today. But if you have a question, if you use the hand raise feature, or if there's a break, you can always just shout out, "Hey, I've got a question," and we'll make sure we get to you. I'd like to start, if that's cool. And one of my big questions is, I think it's unique, this conference, in that it is predominantly female. And I'm just curious if you might talk about why you think this, conference as opposed to the other Sherlockian conferences I've been to, which, not saying that there aren't female guests, but it's just not predominant. And so I'm just curious to hear your thoughts, Joanna and Heather, on why.
So part of my pop culture degree was sociology, so I can spin theories all day. I wasn't around during the peak of Sherlockian fandom, by which fandom of the BBC Sherlock. But my understanding is there were an awful lot of women who loved the show who did not feel necessarily welcomed by traditional Sherlockian fandom. And so they found their own places. And I think that's a big part of it. Coming out of comic book fandom for 20 years, speaking very stereotypically here, okay, nobody get upset. Male fandom tends to be knowledge-based, trivia-based. Can you tell me which story this quote came out of, kind of thing. Female fandom tends to be creative-based in terms of I want to write more stories with these characters, or I'm going to create a costume that reflects the character I like, or it's what they call transformative works and AO3, if we're familiar with that, fanfic. So this was a place where that kind of generative work was welcomed as well. But I want to say it's not an us versus them kind of thing. We have a number of BSI members who come to the show, and they're welcome. The only thing I say when I was introducing this to more traditional fandom folks, I was saying, if pronoun buttons upset you, this is not your show. Because there's a certain group of more conservative people that don't want that kind of inclusion, and that's fine. There are conferences for you. This is a different kind of show. I also want to point out that if you're familiar with conventions of other kinds, I had gone to comic book conventions for a long time. This is different in that it's fan run, which means that we don't have publishers and media creators putting on panels that are like, here's our latest thing, go buy it, go watch it, whatever. It's very much, the way we do panels is people suggest things they want to talk about or present on, and then other people go, yeah, I'd like to talk about that too, and that's our panel. So it's very discussion based. It's very sharing knowledge. I've presented, for example, on Sherlock Holmes in comics, where I do a presentation, but I've also led a discussion on was Mycroft a good older brother? The answer is yes. So one of the first times I went to the show, I ended up presenting a panel on Mycroft Holmes dressed in the Christmas suit from Sherlock. And that's how I met Curtis, because he was in the front row. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I don't know. I'm having fun. It's very lighthearted. I hope that helps address some of the question. Again, I'm not putting anyone down. It's if people think the Sherlockian canon and print works are all they want to talk about, that's fine. We are kind of a really big tent, and there's space to find people talking about all kinds of things. So Heather, do you want to add some comments to that?
I think you pretty much covered everything. I will say, in terms of BBC Sherlock, the outspoken fandom was predominantly female. There, of course, were male fans, of course, but it was predominantly female, so that's where this also came from. But also, I'm not sure, Steve Mason, were you one of the first as well? Brad Kefauver was at 221 Beacon from year one. And I think Steve Mason was too, but I don't want to put words in his mouth. No, he was not.
Okay.
Okay, never
No,
mind.
Rusty and I came about the third year, I think, or
Okay.
something. It was still when it was still up north.
Still new.
It was not
Okay.
so.
Yeah,
Cool.
this is the third hotel the show has been in as it's
Right.
searched for. And this is a really good location. As I said, they're wonderful to work with us, which is great when you have so many different people hanging out the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, I came into this from the fandom convention world, and then walked over to the conference thing, and it was a huge culture clash. But I came into 221 Beacon in 2017, last minute. It was the last year at the second hotel that was smack dab in the middle of Atlanta, Georgia. And I was used to small fan run conventions, so the fact that I am sitting in a conference room and Curtis Armstrong is sitting in the audience, and I'm like, why is Booger sitting in the audience? I don't know what's going on. Like, he's a guest, and I mean, I guess sometimes guest, but also, yeah. And now, we've had drinks together and played Sherlockian uh charades. So like the fact that it's come from
Pictionary.
Pictionary, thank you. The fact that it's come from that to this is just mind-blowing for me, but also that's just the way this convention is. There, people are just like, yeah, okay, sure, hi. Yeah. And if we for some reason won the lottery and got media guests, I feel that they would probably be a little bit weirded out because everybody's just like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then they go on their way. So,
We have had media guests before. One year they had I've forgotten his name, the gentleman that played Stanford on the Sherlock
oh
TV
yeah,
show.
and he loves it.
Yeah, he was very supportive. I see a
That
hand
and
from Walter.
Yeah, Walter and Elaine.
Yes, ma'am. If I bring my wife, she's not really a Sherlockian. Although if I brought my daughter-in-law from England, she's a real Cumberbunny, and well, she was the other thing first, but now she's
Yes.
changed to Cumberbunny, and she actually paid for me to go over and see Sherlock because it was always on 6 months earlier than it was here, so I
oh,
got to see it over in England. I thought that was great. But if I bring my wife and um, she's a nice person and you'd have a wonderful time with her. Are there anything slightly extra to do for the ladies that are maybe not full Sherlockians? Now she
Uh,
has to put up with me a lot, of course, but
yes. Well, I mean, she might be interested in some of the other panels that we're doing, maybe
so
not. The thing about Atlanta, though, is that there is a puppetry museum, there is an aquarium. There are many, many things to do in Atlanta other than this convention. If that's, I at this point, I should pause to mention the Waffle House. For some reason, I grew up in the South, so I'm like, okay, it's a Waffle House. For some reason, Sherlockians that do not have nearby Waffle Houses love the Waffle House.
yes,
we
So
have
they
true.
have
our own
even
scion now.
formed a scion, the 221st Waffleiers,
Southumberland Waffleiers.
Southumberland Waffleiers, that go to Waffle House together. So I don't know if that would be of
How
interest.
And this
wonderful.
year, Steve Mason has managed to get a tour of the Waffle House Museum.
Yes. In case you want to go to the Waffle House, that's Friday mornings, not an official convention activity, so come down early.
However,
Um,
there are different panels in the convention. We are having a panel on Jane Austen if she happens to be a Jane Austen fan. We are having a panel on Victorian poisons. We are having a panel on Victorian costuming, Mrs. Hudson's Kitchen, which is basically Victorian kitchens of the time. So,
Sounds good,
uh,
especially the
yes.
Waffle House.
Yeah.
yes, so there are plenty of different things, and I do know several Sherlockians have brought their partners who are not Sherlockians, and they have always found something to do, or even talking to people in the thing. Because even if you're a partner of a Sherlockian and you sit down in the middle of the bar sometime that weekend, somebody's inevitably going to talk to you about something that you both have a shared interest in.
Well, my wife, a nice Virginia Southern lady, won't mind going to the bar for a bourbon.
There
So
you go.
There is actually a bourbon lounge at the hotel, although it generally does not operate when we're there because they use it as overflow, so you can like get food from the food truck and go eat there. I am also a Virginia Southern lady, so that's why I said y'all. So yeah, it's very much like I said, a welcoming audience. Hopefully, Elaine.
Yeah, Heather,
Yes,
how
ma'am.
would you compare this sort of like to Archon as far as, being fan run and
It is very much the same. It is like, with the exception that Archon has a little bit more media guests than we do, it is basically the same thing. There's a vendor room, there are different panels all over the place, there are different tracks. Yeah, it's basically the same thing, which is why I fit in so well on my first time to 221 BCon because I'd always been to Archon.
it sounds like 221B could use some filking.
Oh my gosh. If we could get a filking panel in there, I think everybody would fall in love with it.
Does
Oh,
everybody know what filking is?
yes. It's
Okay.
it's it's rewriting songs to be about fandoms.
Yes.
So it's folk singing with fandom. Speaking of which, apparently GalleyCon is going on. The big Doctor Who con is going on this weekend, and somebody aired their a fan vid that is to the tune of I don't know the name of the song. I'm not giving away my shot from Hamilton, and it's all Sherlock clips. So it's like Sherlock fandom still lives in this year of our Lord 2026. Um, yeah. But yes, we welcome suggestions too. I also welcome suggestions for guests. I mean, as Heather said, we are operating on a minimal budget, so anybody with an appearance fee probably not. But somebody suggested I contact Bert Cools, for instance, and I did, and he was very interested. Except then he figured out it would be like a 12-hour plane flight, and that was a no-go. And I'm like, I can understand that. We our guest last year was the creator of the Beekeeper's Picnic, which is a cozy core video game where you are Sherlock Holmes and you are trying to make a nice picnic for your friend Dr. Watson, but people keep asking you to solve mysteries while you're trying to gather the food and the blanket and stuff. So it's adorable. We had the creator come and talk about why she made the game and Easter eggs you could find in the game, and she had a fabulous time.
But also
Um,
before that, she was the author of the Letters from Watson, which I know a lot of people probably um,
yes,
got.
yes. It's unfortunate. I'd written an article for Sherlock Holmes magazine about because that is a British-based magazine about people coming from other countries, and that unfortunately has been very limited due to various actions over the past couple of years, which is unfortunate. So, but we have had people come in. We have someone coming in from Spain this year who wanted to talk about Sherlock Holmes and comics in Spain, but we didn't work out the timing quite right. But he's coming anyway, so yay!
We also have somebody coming from Australia this year, which
Oh
I'm
yes.
just so excited about.
Yes, a noted fic writer, so we're all glad to meet her. Other questions? Why not a Zoom video link for overseas speakers? Robin has asked in the chat. Well, okay, so um, we're very much an in-person convention. I see, I did it too. Uh, and like I said, we brought in the Sherlock and Co. folks virtually last year, and we wanted to kind of see if that would work, but um, it doesn't quite have the same feel. I mean, we do go for that when there's like no other option, but
But
we are really focused on the in-person community aspects.
also, this is not a conference where not, I don't want to sound disparaging because I am not, because I am also on the board of Holmes in the Heartland, which is very much a Sherlockian conference. Um, this is not a conference where you sit in one room and the panelists come to you, and then come up and the speakers come up and they talk for an hour and then you have lunch, where it would be easier to mount a camera on the back and just show the other thing for overseas viewers. We have 5 rooms this year, and there are going to be panels in every single one, and there is no way that we could set up 5 different cameras and have them going simultaneously. There's no way you can do that, not including everything that goes on in Mrs. Hudson's room, which is another room, which I believe the soda panel is going to be in this year, and in the hallway where all the fun stuff happens, and in the bar, which we can't do for security reasons because it's not just Sherlockians in the bar, it's also businessmen and airline pilots. So there's no way for us to technically, theoretically Zoom all the conference without somebody missing something.
Yeah, it's true. And you don't have examples like one year, I don't even remember which year at this point. This is actually, Heather, how I met Elaine, who's a joint friend of ours now. I was at a panel and we were waiting for people to assemble, and I was like, it was late in the weekend, and we were going to be talking. I don't even remember what the topic was. I think it was maybe imposter syndrome or something of the nature. And I was like, wow, I could really use a drink. And Elaine pops out to the bar, comes back with with a bottle of prosecco and 4 glasses for the panelists. So it was like
Ah,
that made the
yes.
panel a lot more fun, at least from my perspective.
To be fair, I did do that at a panel that we had on Sunday morning. Me and the host came in hungover, and she dropped a bottle of Moscato on, or yeah, Moscato on the thing and two things, and we sat down. We're like, okay, hit us with your questions.
Yes. But I do want to also emphasize that you don't have to drink to have fun, because that's sometimes the case of, it's again, whatever anybody wants to do is cool. Shayna has her hand up.
So it's kind of ironic that you just said you don't have to drink to have fun, because I was going to mention the fact that every year the bar in the hotel offers themed cocktails
Yes,
during the con, which you can get in a to-go bag.
Yes.
it's an
It's
adult
kind of
Capri
like
Sun.
Panel to panel.
it's like Capri Sun for adults,
Yes.
and you can tell if you've had too many if you can't get the straw to work. So, but yeah, no, that's an example of them wanting to play along with us.
Yeah.
Some,
Oh,
of-
yeah.
some of the servers you start to recognize, and they love having us there. Apparently, we're great people. We buy food and drink, and we don't become too obnoxious. There is a story about one of the earlier hotels where they said you need to double stock the bar. They were like, we know what we're doing, we know our estimates, we're fine, and then they ran out of alcohol. So, and that's just it's for a lot of people that's part of the party. And it's meant to be fun in a lot of different ways. We have a dance party. You don't have to come to that. We have karaoke. You can get up and sing, and it's fine. You don't have to come to that either. There are other evening activities that you can do hanging out. It's just a way to gather and be like, we're all Sherlockians together. Let's enjoy how much fun that this can be.
And that's also one of the part of the reason that Drunk Cannon came along this year, because it's usually on Friday or Saturday night, and the bar is packed. And the bar also closes at like 11 o'clock. So there's really no place for 25 Sherlockians to sit in one area and talk about whatever while they're drinking soda, water, sweet tea, bourbon, whatever the Capri Suns, whatever. So that's one of the reasons we're like, well, why don't we just give them a room like during the dance party? Because most of the people are the old school Sherlockians, are the BSI members. Some of them aren't. Um, who are the ones sitting in the bar, and they go to the dance party for like 30 minutes and they're like, okay, we're done. And then they go wander somewhere else. So that's why we're setting up a room for themselves. Bring your own alcohol, have a seat, talk about it until whenever y'all manage to crawl back up to your hotel room.
But don't be too loud about bringing your own alcohol if you're not buying it from the hotel.
Well, I meant bring your own alcohol from the hotel.
Yeah.
Bring your drinks.
So.
Not that there won't be any, but that's something else completely different. Anyway.
Shayna, did you have anything else to say? Your hand is
Yeah,
still up.
are you doing Mrs. Hudson's parlor, the kind of chill out space again?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, and that's an excellent way to put it. Miss Hudson's room is just a big area where, for some reason, we have acquired a number of standees. You could have your picture taken with Arthur Conan Doyle, or last year I think Joe Biden, or for some reason Burt Reynolds from Smokey and the Bandit, or there's
Sherlock and John.
Watson, and there's Sherlock Holmes, and there's
But then there's also The Rock.
Yes, people like tend to bring them. There's a giant blow up dinosaur for some reason. People just
The greatest Sherlock Holmes movie, Sherlock Holmes and Dinosaurs.
Exactly.
Yes, Sherlock Holmes. Ben Snyder was a guest one year, who starred in the Sherlock Holmes Asylum movie, which we call Sherlock Holmes and Dinosaurs. So it's interesting because when we were taking this over and we were getting lessons from Crystal and the other Heather about what was involved, we're like, well, the con doesn't really have any property, does it? I mean, aside from there's some equipment in terms of making badges and things, and they're like, well, all the standees have to live somewhere. So
but we also have a craft center, because we also have, since we have a mess of creative people, we have a craft center where sometimes a bunch of people came and did scrapbooking one year, our junk journals. we have a costume or a cosplay repair center. And then one year, everybody brought all of their knitting stuff and just sat in a group and knitted and crocheted. Another thing that we have this year that went over very well last year is that we have an exchange. So it's an exchange of rocks and tarot cards and books and stickers and pins and badge ribbons and anything you can think of. And you just drop your stuff there and pick up what you want and leave. And it's one of the other popular things that goes on every year.
Yeah. Well, and Miss Hudson's Rooms is also a space where if you're feeling a bit much, you can go and you can color,
Decompress.
or you can be by yourself or your closest friend and just be away from all the rest of it, because there's a lot of neurodiverse people at the convention. So
Like
yes,
we said, the soothing sound of the TARDIS seems to calm everybody down. So
yes. Actually, keep talking, Heather. I'm going to go grab my badge so I can show what the badge ribbons are like.
oh, great. Okay, sure. I'm gonna talk. I don't know what I'm talking about, but okay, sure. Does anybody have any questions? Ah,
Heather, can I ask you about how many people you're expecting to have for the weekend?
anywhere between 250 and 300.
Oh,
That's the estimation. That's what we had last year when everybody was on their edge of their seat when they didn't know what was happening. We expect that many because of basically the nosy syndrome. It's like, okay, yay, the con's coming back with 2 new people. Let's see how horrible this is. So, or how good it is. So, which Joanna and I are so grateful that Crystal and Heather have agreed to basically be our Mycroft Holmes. Like they are sitting in the back and they have joined us on the board meetings so that we have them once a month. And so when Joanna and I are like, ooh, we should do this or this sounds good, we have Crystal and Heather, the voice of reasons, going, that does sound good, but you have to think of the logistics of it. And we're like, okay, yeah, maybe not a good idea. So
Okay, so the thing about badges and badge ribbons is you get a badge with the art for the year, and our art this year is done by our own Madeline
Madeline
Quinones.
Quinones.
This is not the art. This is not what I'm talking about. She's got one she's doing. But anyway, you get a badge, and then you can get a 221 Beacon ribbon. I'm a member of the Diogenes Club, which means that I paid to be a lifetime member. And then various other fandoms give you a 7% solution. Would you care to try it? And you attach it to your badge. Fanon is canon. Queer representation matters. Here's another one that got a little bit crazy. And anybody who wants can bring their ribbons and hand them out.
Madeline's got hers.
This was this was a book by Cameo. So she was pushing out, and then there's a 221B. And this one also has somebody was handing out green carnations for obvious reasons, and a woman in the lobby was felting bees because we are bees. And so I attached that to the ribbon. So you wind up by the end of the con walking around like a billboard. But it's great fun swapping ribbons with people.
And if you've ever seen Brad Kefauver, last year he came with all of his badges and all of his ribbons. And if any of you have ever seen the videos of people at Dragon Con that have the badge ribbons that go down 5 flights, that's basically what Brad looked like that year. It was just ribbons upon ribbons upon ribbons.
Yes. So, but there you go. So that's more of the secret of 221B. Yeah, we're all bees, and it's the hive because, the hotel actually has its own hives.
Yes.
They were going to do a panel one year explaining the keeping of the bees, but then the bees all died in the weather. So,
do we know if they
first
have
it was
bees?
COVID? I believe so. First they had the COVID, then the person who was going to give us the tour got COVID, and then one year the bees died. But I do know there are new bees there. So yeah, but they make their own honey and everything. Yes. Like it's very sustainable.
And the nice thing is that the hotel restaurant is actually really good.
It is.
And they have sushi.
So, you can easily just get a burger or a chicken sandwich or a salad, but it's tasty stuff. So, yeah.
And then there's the food truck.
And there's a sushi bar in the lobby too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's a really nice location. And having been part of conventions for a long time where they were like not crazy about the people coming to visit. It's really nice to have a supportive hotel. That's really important to us. Also, I really want to thank Edith for pointing out at this point I should pause to mention the Waffle House. Okay. I'm sorry. This makes me so happy because it's like the story of how the con continued is I was going on I Hear of Sherlock Everywhere to promote the show in 2025. And I texted Crystal and previous Heather to say, I know they were going to want me to talk about, is this really the last show? So I need to know what you're in. Because I was still hoping to convince them otherwise at that point. And they said, we need to have a call. And I'm like, okay. So the two Heathers and Crystal and I got on a call and they said, we're willing to let you take it over. Which, you know, we'd never been willing to consider giving our baby to someone else before. And Heather and I went away and went, okay, we need to think about this because this is a thing, you know? But I realized, and I'll let Heather speak to her thoughts, but I realized if I said no, it would kill something that made people really, really happy. And between us, I think we had the skills to continue it onward. So I said yes. Heather, do you want to add to that?
So in 2024, when Crystal and Heather said that 2025 might be their last year, everybody in the audience was justifiably devastated. Like even I was upset. And I went up with Johanna and we were like, whatever you need, let us know. And Johanna and I came back later about August or September and we're like, okay, what do you guys need from us? So when she got on that phone call and we got on the phone call and I had just sent out some sort of social media thing and I get a phone call from Johanna who's like, I've got Crystal and we're getting Heather. And I'm like, did I send something out wrong? What's going on? And they told us, and I immediately panicked quietly. And thank God Johanna was like, we're going to have to think about this. And I immediately called Rob Dunn afterwards because he has run a convention. And I'm like, talking him through this. And as I'm talking, he's just listening to me. And finally, he's like, Heather, I think you've already made your decision. Like, maybe. But it was always going to be a 2 yes, 1, 0 no. Like if I said yes and Johanna said no or vice versa, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So the fact that we both said yes after we talked to each other was just terrifying. And I think we had an idea of how it was going to be, but this year has been like we sat behind the scenes with Crystal and Heather at 2025. But this year doing it on our own with Crystal and Heather behind us has been daunting.
Well, and
but
the funny
we will
thing
also
about
get better from every year that we do it from now on.
Yeah. The funny thing about 2025 is there were areas that I specifically was not asking them questions about because I didn't want to be perceived as trying to take over the show.
Yeah.
And Madeline had said, yes, when the announcement was made, I personally, yes, went through the 5 stages of grief. It was denial, it was bargaining, it was anger, it was just devastation because, no lie, finding 221 Beacon at a time when I was losing my husband, who passed away a year ago, was one of the things that kept me going. And it's just that kind of revamp and people are always like, be careful when you come back because you're on this con high and then you have con drop where you're like, oh my gosh, life, nothing means anything anymore. I'm not with my friends at 221 Beacon. So you have to kind of get back in the regular life way of thinking of things. But yeah, I'm just really glad that Heather and I had the ability and the skills and the willingness to keep it going because it means a lot to a lot of people and we really value that legacy.
Sorry, Brian.
Brian has his hand up.
Brian, we got time for one more question and then we'll
Okay.
wrap.
Okay, not a question so much, just a commentary on what the show means to people. So last year was my first year attending because Derek and I sponsored the event, and so it was like, well, one of us should actually go. And I remember Friday being in the vendor's room and suddenly hearing a giant roar of applause from like halfway down the hall, which I found out later was the announcement that the show's going to keep going. And then that thunder of everyone surging into the merchants area. And this one girl came up to me and said, I just heard what you did for the show. I'm like, what did I do? You gave them money. Oh, yeah, I did that. And she started crying on me and was like, you don't understand. This show is our safe space. And I was like, oh my God. And everyone had that kind of reaction. I was getting people wanted to shake hands all week. And I'm like, this does not happen at BSI weekend.
That's also why we're so excited for Derek to show up this year, so he can get some of this too.
But again, it's not either or. I mean, a lot of us go to both, and they both have different traditions and different histories. But this is where my heart is, because it's people like me. I just mean it's welcoming, it's inclusive, it's something that we meet. I made Madeline cry. I feel bad.
Sorry, Maddie.
I just have you guys know, we've talked about this a lot. I have a lot of emotions about all of this.
Yeah. But it is a year by year thing, although I've already made promises about 2027. When we can keep attracting people and meeting our costs and getting things going, that's why we do things like this conversation. And we're so glad for Derek for hosting us. Is we really want to get the word out, that so people can come and find us, and we want to keep growing.
Well, and we obviously want that as well. The more Sherlockians in the world, the better. And I do want to say, Brian came back last year from the con, and my phone rang and I answered it, and and he was just like, dude, you gotta go. You have to go this year. And it was before I even said hello. I was like, I answered the phone and I was like, dude. But it's I'm very excited to experience it, and I know others here have either experienced it or will be experiencing it for the first time as well. And if you don't make it this year, it sounds like there will be. It's going to continue into 2027, which is exciting as always. So thank you both for telling us about this very cool experience, and I'm looking forward to my first weekend, and very much. And I'll get this link posted up on the YouTube group as soon as possible, just again to help spread the word. And on behalf of everyone who is in the Sherlock Holmes world, thank you so much for keeping this going. And thank you all for the participants too, because you also are the reason that it keeps going. And that means the world to me, as well as I'm sure everybody who's on this call. So thank you very much. Next month, Micah Cover is going to talk, and he's going to do some of his magic tricks for us, and he's going to talk about his Sherlock Holmes play. It's going to be interesting because next month's meeting, I'm going to be on Coronado Beach when I run it. My daughter's going to be in a volleyball tournament on Coronado Beach, so I'll see how it goes. But you might see, me with a little sunburn. We'll see how it goes. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing you all again. And and if I don't see you on virtually, hopefully I'll see you in Atlanta. Take care, everyone, and thank you for being here. Bye now.
Thank you, Derek. Bye, everybody.
Fine.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you so much.
Derek.
Appreciate
Bye,
you.
thank you.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Appreciate you all. Okay, take care, all. George, I owe you a phone call. I'm going to give you a call tomorrow. Is that cool? All right? Okay. We'll talk.
Bye.
Bye now.